In this video, I'm going to show you how to master one of the most underrated and misunderstood kettlebell exercises out there, the Kettlebell Windmill. Not only will you learn how to perform the windmill with rock solid form, but we'll also go over the muscles worked, progressions to work up to the windmill safely, and explain why this might be your new favorite lift. If you're new here, my name is Zach, and I've been helping people get super fit with kettlebells since 2012. And if you want to take your kettlebell game up to the next level, be sure to check out my courses and training programs linked in the description below. All right, so now let's dive in. The kettlebell windmill is a deceptively complex movement. Much like the Turkish get-up, you're not actually lifting the weight during the exercise, but rather maneuvering your body under and around it, meaning you'll build total body control and overhead stability in the process. The windmill is fundamentally a combination of two movement patterns: spinal rotation and a hip hinge. Think of it like a kickstand deadlift, but with the added complexity of shoulder stability and rotation. Like any good hip hinge, the goal is to move about the hips while keeping the spine stable. The windmill is not a side bend, and the goal is not merely to reach the floor. Judge your windmill not by its range of motion, but by how well you're able to control tension and position, and how strong, mobile, and balanced you feel afterward. Like any hip hinge exercise, we're targeting the muscles of the posterior chain, which includes the hamstrings, glutes, and spinal erectors. The windmill also has a major single leg balance component to it, which means you're also getting lots of stabilization work through the foot, ankle, and hip. Moving up the torso, practically every muscle in your core, upper back, and arms will need to fire in order to stabilize your spinal position and the kettlebell itself. But you're gonna dedicate most of your mental focus to two muscle groups: your lats and your obliques. Together, these muscles make up most of your lateral chain or side body. During the windmill, you'll need to engage these muscle groups in order to effectively stabilize the kettlebell, your shoulder, and your spine as you move about the hips. And this is what makes the windmill so special. It's like a single leg deadlift and a side plank and a press all rolled into one. So hopefully now you can see why the windmill is more than just a fancy toe touch. Our exploration of the windmill begins in the kneeling 4-point stance. Your bottom hand, knee, and foot are in a straight line. The top side foot is approximately perpendicular to the bottom mid shin. From here, we'll perform 2 quick mobility drills to get the T-spine and shoulders loosened up. First is the classic thread the needle stretch. Reach your top arm up and out before sweeping it under the opposite armpit. Next, simply reach the top hand down the back and around across the low back. Try 5 reps of each. Now let's refine your position and start working on the windmill pattern itself. Actively push the ground away with your bottom hand and pull the shoulder down, creating space for your neck. Think about pulling the top side armpit down towards the hip. This engages the lat and is a cue we'll come back to again and again. Push the butt back to the rear heel and unload the bottom hand. Simultaneously extend the hips and square your torso as you bring your eyes forward. Reverse the movement by rotating the spine as you hinge the hips back and return your gaze to the top hand. Sweep the arm out to find the ground and rock back into your starting position. Double check the engagement of both lats and repeat. Just like with the get-up, we practice each windmill pattern first without weight and then with a light kettlebell. When using a bell, keep a firm grasp on the handle, as this will help stabilize the shoulder. Watch out for a loose lat or the arm slipping into internal rotation. Remember to drive the armpit down and point the pinky towards the hip. Now we'll take your windmill up into the standing position. The torso rotation pattern remains the same, but the stance and hip hinge gets a little bit more complex when we're up on 2 feet. So we'll take it step by step. Stand with the heels just outside hip width. Turn the feet about 30 to 45 degrees to the left if you're lifting up with the right arm. Root hard into the ground with your right foot as you shift your weight onto the right hip. Really think about elongating the right leg and settle on an approximate 80-20 weight distribution. I like to pump the left foot a few times to double check the weight shift and relax that left leg. Begin to hinge into the right hip as your gaze lifts up to the kettlebell. Rotate as before and allow the torso to sink in concert with the depth of the hip hinge. Really drive the hip diagonally back, staying strong and straight through the right leg, and soft and slightly bent with the left. The left arm can slide down the inside of the left leg, providing guidance and support. The hip hinge and the spine rotation work in concert together like connected gears. You're searching for a sweet spot where you feel one or both are about to reach their limit. This will obviously look different for every person. Maintaining control and appropriate tension, hold the sweet spot for a breath or two before driving back up, standing with a strong glute squeeze. Again, practice this pattern without weight until you're confident in your alignment, muscular engagement, and breathing. I've mentioned that you can think of the windmill as a kind of kickstand deadlift. So to begin adding weight, we'll actually start by picking a kettlebell up off the floor. Starting with the bottom-loaded windmill is key. It'll teach you how to stay strong and connected under load, so do not skip this step. Place a light to moderate kettlebell just inside of the soft side foot. Orient the handle to be in line with the foot angle. Perform the windmill as before, and this time grasp the kettlebell with the lower arm in external rotation, wrist facing out. Broad chest and lat tight. Squeeze and drive back up to standing with the bell. Return the kettlebell to the floor in the same windmill pattern. Like any deadlift, this kettlebell can be elevated in order to accommodate the mobility needs of the lifter. Now that you've gotten the hang of the bottom-loaded windmill, we'll progress up to the traditional overhead windmill. And this is where everything really comes together. Stability, mobility, and strength. First things first, be mindful of how you get the kettlebell up overhead in the first place. Personally, I like to clean and press the kettlebell, really focusing on tight lats and zipping up through the whole body. This provides me the best foundation from which to perform the windmill from. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out my kettlebell clean and military press tutorial videos linked here. Once the bell is secure in the lockout, turn the feet and begin the weight shift. Remember, you're not just holding the weight overhead, you're anchoring the kettlebell to the sky. Think of your body as a tall, stable structure with tension running from your feet to your fingers. As you begin the hinge and rotation, think about smoothly passing the weight of the kettlebell from the delts to the lats. As you settle into your sweet spot, really focus on driving the armpit down towards the hip. As you drive up, imagine settling the arm back down into socket like a deep post into firm ground. Again, don't worry about depth here. The addition of the overhead kettlebell adds a whole new level of complexity and should really light up your core and lats. Don't be surprised or discouraged if your range of motion needs to shorten up a bit. The goal is controlling these many lines of tension, not hitting a maximal stretch. I demonstrated the windmill with a low reaching bottom hand, but there are two other options for you to try out as well. The first is to bend the elbow and sandwich the forearm into the hip crease. This encourages a deeper hip hinge and provides extra support for the bottom oblique. For an added challenge, you can hide the arm behind the back. Only try this unweighted or with a light kettlebell. Finally, we can combine the top and bottom windmill into the double loaded windmill. Get your overhead position settled first before stepping up to the bottom kettlebell. All the same technique points apply. Just be sure to start out light on both ends and double check your points of engagement. And there you have it. Whether you're performing the windmill with a couple of hefty kettlebells or just your own body weight, the windmill is one of the most effective strength stretch combo lifts out there. So how do you effectively program the windmill? I like to include it at the tail end of my warm-ups. It makes for a perfect bridge between mobility and pure strength work. Powerlifters and really anyone who trains the bench press will get a ton of benefit from the windmill by opening up the chest and the T-spine in the context of lat engagement. Plus, you'll get to break out of the sagittal plane and get some good work in some new novel angles. As a loaded version of a hamstring and piriformis stretch, the windmill can loosen up even the stiffest of hips. The windmill is also a classic addition to the top of a Turkish getup and is a valuable progression towards the bent press. Any way you cut it, training the windmill on a regular basis will help keep you strong, supple, and loosened up where we all need it the most. Thanks for watching, and if you're ready to take your kettlebell skills up to the next level, be sure to check out my Turkish getup tutorial video linked here, and be sure to check out my programs and courses, all linked in the description below.